Well, since I didn't have anything to really talk about yet, but I want to keep things interesting, I thought maybe I'd talk about aging and how short our life really is. Um, One, life is whatever you make it. You know, yeah, God gives you a choice, you know, and you can make a good choice or a bad choice. Unfortunately, throughout my life, I've made a lot of bad choices, but praise God, I accepted Him and I made some good choices. So what I'm going to do is, for this portion of my video, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to share my witness with you, and let you guys know how I came to believe in God, okay, and how I came to have a relationship with that same God. Because let me tell you something, I wasn't always like this, okay. Well, yeah, I've always been fat, okay, but I wasn't always so concerned with others, or worried about others as much, and things that affect kids and things that affect society and things like that. And time's getting short, so I'm going to share my witness with you guys, okay. um, my life wasn't going so great. I was basically a drug addict. I did a lot of speed, um, enough to where my sinus cavities collapsed. And after my sinus cavities collapsed, I couldn't breathe through my nose, so I kind of sounded like this, and it was really bad, you know. So, and at that time, my life was kind of poo, so to speak. Um, the gal that I was in love with didn't want nothing to do with me. Our son was almost 4 years old, going on 5, and we'd been on again, off again, on again, off again. And with God's help, I guess, because at that time I didn't know God. She went through a rough time with her boyfriend, and I had just broken up with my girlfriend. So we got to talking, and she had a Bible study that she wanted me to go to. And I went, a Bible study? Come on, I'm a Catholic. You know, I'm a fat Italian guy from New York City. I was raised in the Catholic Church. I'm going to die in the Catholic Church. That's what I said. She said, no, no, no. It's going to be a barbecue fellowship. And I quit doing the speed. So when I quit doing the speed, I said, well, I'll go ahead and go, and I'll go and enjoy the barbecue, right? There's going to be steaks. So I went and I wore a shirt that was torn all the way down the sides, and it had a raisin in the front, and the raisin was flipping people off, and it said, raisins, raisin hell. And I looked like a real schlep, you know? And I went in there, and I couldn't breathe through my nose, and we were swimming and partying. And this guy walks up to me and he says, excuse me. He says, I can see you're having trouble breathing. And I'm going, no kidding, man. Wow, that's not real obvious, is it? He said, no, no, no. He says, God told me I needed to come over here and pray with you. I went, oh, how come I didn't receive that phone call? No. He said, no, no, seriously. God told me I need to come over here and pray with you. Can you believe that God can heal you? And I went, all right, I'll give it a shot, I believe. Okay? So I tell the guy, okay, I'll give it a shot. And to my surprise, they take me and they sit me in this chair and they call it a melting pot. And they get this oil, right? Olive oil, and they put it on my head and the cross. And they start praying for me. And these people are just loving on me and praying for me. And at that point I said to God, I said, you know what? My life's really been a load of poop. I'm using that word because I don't like using the other. Um, if you can heal me, God, I'll follow you for the rest of my life. And they got done praying. And when they got done praying, I got up. And I was still breathing like this. And I was mad. And I said, okay, you guys have a nice night. And I went home. I went to sleep. The next morning I woke up and there was like a little bit of blood on my pillow. And I went to the restroom, and you know how sometimes you go and you stand in front of the mirror and you yawn and you big deep breath through your nose, right? Well, that's what I did. So the first thing I did was go, wait a minute, and I did it like 3 or 4 times, you know. So then I got on the phone and I called my, who is now my wife. I don't want to mention her name because she may not like that on video. But I called and I said, hey, you're not going to believe this. And she said, what? I said, I can breathe through my nose. She says, I knew you would be able to. I said, can I go to that Bible study again next week? And she said, sure. So I went to the Bible study and they're going through this stuff. And the guy who was running the Bible study gave me Romans 10, 9, and 10 to memorize. And he asked, excuse me, I keep rubbing my nose because I get itches. Um, he asked me, he says, he didn't actually ask me, but he said, is anyone here ready to accept Jesus? And at that moment in my life, I just said, you know what, God, I made you a deal. And I raised my hand. And at the same time, the beautiful woman that married me did the same thing. And that was like almost 22 years ago. And I've been following Jesus ever since. Am I perfect? No. Do I continue to do my best to try to follow him? Yeah. And I still make mistakes. But, you know, with God's help, I'll get through those mistakes. And I continue to learn every day. Just because you're old don't mean you can't learn. And some of our best lessons are taught by the youngest people that you'll ever meet. One of the kids that we babysat at that particular Bible study is now my pastor. And I thank God every single day that I have people in my life that keep me straight and on the right path with Christ. And like I said, sometimes I stumble, but you know what? If I was perfect, I would already be with Christ. Thank you guys.